where there are people who are not benefiting from their minerals. The roads are very bad. The city it has more what? More potholes than roads. You know, we can all list that. The difference is that this morning we look at those problems, but also propose the solutions, the way we see it at the Alliance for National Transformation. And we prescribe, you know, all of us can know this looks like malaria, right? But then, how to treat it is a domain we normally leave to the doctors. And so this morning, we bring to you a prescription of the problems of Uganda, the way we see it at the Alliance for National Transformation. We also bring to you, I think my copy of the manifesto should be here now so that I address it. We also bring to you very specific things that we want to do, that we think are
Every discovery leads to a bright future. Designed in collaboration with industry leaders, university has a NAC A++ accreditation. Jane University, a journey towards excellence.
Yes, even your livelihood in Kawempe, we connect it to the homestead. And that makes this manifesto a very unique one, because we think that whatever government does with and for the people should be able to connect to their all-round well-being. We cannot have development that is delinked to the well-being of the people of Uganda. Sometimes I move around the city and you find them chasing ordinary Ugandans from the streets, that they are an embarrassment to guests. That is trying to detach the ordinary Ugandan and detach the development of the city from the realities of the ordinary Ugandans. We think that real transformation revolves around that woman who is carrying mangoes in the city. If you don't transform her, you can build skyscrapers, but the city will not have been transformed. If you don't transform the peasant in my village, wherever that village is, if she is not transformed, you're wasting your time. You can talk about GDP for all I care. You can talk about middle income status, but there will be no tangible result. That is why we are pulling out this thing called the homestead, and we are saying, is that middle income felt in this home? If it is not felt in the home, stop deceiving us. We must touch middle income in the home. If you are saying you are building a women's specialized hospital in Mulago, can that lay woman, the woman in this Makindye where I'm standing, with complications arising from birth, can that woman walk to that specialized hospital in Mulago? Will she be treated? If she cannot be treated, that thing is detached from the realities of Ugandans. We may have built the hospital using our taxpayers' money, and yes, we did. But as long as that mother in that Kibuli area there cannot afford that treatment, because I hear for you to deliver a baby there, you need, is it 3 million shillings? Which an ordinary mother cannot. So that thing is detached from our realities. And therefore, the emphasis here should be appreciated, because it is what will really link the situations that we go through with the situations, the planning of government. We look at a number of things. I have talked about the Homestead-based Manifesto. We are looking at things that will transform livelihoods, promotion and protection, and bring down poverty. We are looking at how to monitor this manifesto, and at the core of it is agriculture, which is crop, livestock production, and fisheries and forestry. We are looking at land rights, the rampant land grabbing in this country, whether in the city or outside the city or in the rural areas. It is something that takes the core of our thinking, and that must be brought down. You're looking at industry and mining, the transport infrastructure. I may not be able to go through all this, but let me mention oil and gas and the protection of project affected persons, because that is extremely important. We are also looking at water, sanitation, environment, trade and policy of foreign relations. I believe that the candidate will also be able to look at the detailed aspects that he wants to address this morning. Democracy and governance. We are looking at affirmative action. Ladies, we are looking at gender parity. That should make us happy that at the ANT we will be looking at gender parity in political leadership in this country. For our children with special needs, for people with physical, mental challenges and chronic illnesses, this manifesto covers you adequately. But we're making a signature commitment that all our children at school who have special needs, the children with vision impairment, the ANT government will give them braille for free. We will give our children in those schools what they call assistive devices, so that a child who cannot move because of difficulty moving, that child will be assisted by the ANT government to find an assistive device, whether it is a wheelchair or whatever, so that our Ugandan child will be able to go to school. In our manifesto, we will invest more in special needs. In our manifesto, we've singled out difficult or marginalized areas that we will pay attention to them. We will pay attention to Karamoja. How can a place be that rich and have all those minerals and be the poorest in the world? Do you know Karamoja is one of the poorest areas in the world? And our government is very happy to launch a UBO's report that says so. Huh? Yes, our government sends the UBOs there, and then they do a survey, and then they report the highest level of multidimensional poverty is experienced in Karamoja. They can't go to school, they have no health facilities, they have nothing. And yet they are picking Karamoja's minerals. They put them on lorries and they bring to Kampala cement. They do what? And they are chasing Kampala's children from the streets. That is the present government of Uganda. The ANT government will empower not only Karamoja, any place that has minerals, to benefit directly from those minerals. We are looking at migration, refugees, and host communities. We did our own study on host communities. We did work in Isinjiro. We did work in Terego and Arua. We looked at how the refugees were living there. And that is what informs what we have here today. The refugees have their own problems. But somebody among the host community said that he was wishing he would even be a refugee, because at some points refugees were better than the host communities. How can that happen in a beautiful country like Uganda? So we have thought through this, and we have said that it is better to help, be hospitable, help the refugees to find peace and comfort, but more important, help the host communities, that as they host the refugees, their own lives should be better. But even more, that we as Uganda should play a stabilizing role in the Great Lakes region. Some of the problems that are making refugees to run, if we did a better job as a government in the Great Lakes region, I can tell you some of the issues in the DRC would be better handled. And the ANT government has the capacity and the expertise to be a stabilizer in the Great Lakes region, so that we are able to deal with issues at source, so that not everybody will have to run into Uganda. We have reflected on that. We have reflected on migration. Today, the biggest export of this country is our young people. The cream of our nation is being shipped to Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, to dry lands, because they have finished Makerere, Nkozi, and anywhere, and they cannot find jobs. And now we've decided that we will ship them so that we avoid a crisis at home. Our commitment in the ANT Manifesto
is to ensure that we create a Uganda that is conducive for our young people to thrive locally. That we will create partnerships that is conducive for our trained labor force to work in Germany but live here in Uganda, so that they don't need to drown in water bodies. We have thought through this, and we have said, even when we must send our young people out of this country, we will make sure that there is full accountability and full disclosure by those exporting agencies, so that every Ugandan girl or boy or young man or woman living this country can be accounted for at any one point T. That their families will know where they are. And therefore our government will put in liaison offices. We must have a 1-point liaison where, if they are in Saudi Arabia, our young people will call and know that their government cares about them. These things of Ugandans have died, some exporter has sent them for what? No, they will stop in the ANT government. In terms of health, we have reflected and we are saying that for health, every health center, 3 in this country, will have a medical doctor, and it is possible. And that in our human resource plan, we are going to invest in the doctors. Within 5 years, we have committed in black and white that we will set up 4 regional hubs for kidney and cancer care in this country. We will stop. You know, currently in Uganda, if you don't have money to go to India, you are dead on arrival. You are finished. Now, we know that the resources can be reorganized. So we'll put 1 regional hub. We will put in the policy. We will put in the manpower. We will put in the equipment. And then those people who are being asked to come from Ntoroko to Kampala. And then in Kampala they tell them there is nothing that can be done. They will find a regional hub that will handle them for kidney and cancer in Western Uganda. And this is critical. Our intern doctors will not have to beg, because they form a very strong backbone for our medical care right now. In the ANT government, those interns will be well facilitated so that they can deliver services. In terms of education, our teachers, the arts teachers, we pledge to you that we will immediately harmonize the salaries. And so much more that I want to leave you to read. If I give you a full overview, you will not read this manifesto. So I need to stop somewhere there and then allow you to be able to read the signature commitments and then the general issues and the overarching issues. Before I sit down, okay, I will be back here to invite the presidential candidate. the signature commitments, and then the general issues and the overarching issues. Before I sit down, okay, I will be back here to invite the presidential candidate.
And then it will give you a link. When you tap on the link, it will give you an opportunity to chat and tap Hello ANT. How many of us are there? Right? I have one person, so it works. I had two other persons on the other side. 3, 4. Yeah. 5. So it works, provided you have data, and it immediately gives you an area of where either to register as a member or the contact numbers. Of course, you cannot renew your membership when you're not yet a member. So first be a member. And then you can follow the prompts. This party, to effect this manifesto, needs funds. And therefore we call upon you to donate. At the same time, we call upon you to choose to be members of ANT. So please register. Should you have any technical problem, I am seated at the back. I'll be in position to support. The app has got options. I mentioned it has an element of donating. We need money as a party. It has an element of registration. We need members to join the party. The remaining are basically administrative to refine your membership or to check the contact numbers, as basic as that. And so it is in that form, and would like to let you know that it's up, it is running, and we welcome you to ANT. More than that, we welcome your support to make sure that this party runs on the funds that you have submitted. For some of you who heard about General Muntu when he was launching the fundraising, he mentioned that there's a possibility of getting money from any sources. And some of those sources, when he mentions, you understand the conditions attached. But ANT is very specific and intentional and purposeful. We want you to utilize the sources from the members, the money from the members, not the monies that have got conditions attached. That's the reason we are calling for the donations. My work was was as simple as that. And I want to thank you for your attention. Should you be having a challenge with it, call upon me. I will support. Thank you very much.
So I thought that where I was seated, the app would show me that somebody had already donated 2,000 shillings. We wanted to check if 2,000 shillings can reach. I would be happy to know it has worked and somebody sent 2,000 shillings. Try and we see. Because we don't want to go out of here thinking the app works and then it didn't. You try it with 2K. Okay, if you want 2 million, no problem. We can also check. Okay, as that is going on, because I really want to check if the thing has worked.
Maybe let me make a clarification. I think some of you do not know that you need a QR code scanner on the WhatsApp. If you take a photo, it will just be a photo. But you need to be having the QR code scanner. We have a link that we are sharing, which is very direct. Yeah.
Okay, so it is only the QR scanner people who can scan. Please scan and let me know that the thing worked. The normal camera will scan. Okay, scan and we see. I really want to see if it works. Okay, so as you scan, as you test it with 1K or 2K, let me recognize now the leaders that came. If you came after introductions, if you are sub-regional coordinator, sub-regional actually is behind. Please stand up for recognition. James Mogi, you're very welcome. Sub-regional spokesperson, North, is in the house. Mr. Mugabe Robert, you're welcome. Sheikh Katuramu, I saw you, the whole of you. Where has Sheikh Katuramu gone? Yes, you're welcome. Our district leaders, where are you? If you just came and you're from district chapters. Pastor Simon Opata, a true friend, please you stand up. We want to see you. Yes, thank you. Mr. Koluo, you're welcome. Moyogumu is in the house. The whole coordinator of Kampala Metropolitan, Madam Aisha Navasirie, is in the house. Okay, so if I left you, please know that I have now introduced you. You are very welcome. The manifesto is a tool in the hands of a presidential candidate and all other candidates. Meaning, apart from issues that are local to your constituency, Kalembe, you're welcome. She's a candidate in Ginger Woman. Yeah, so apart from your issues that are local to say Ginger, and she's our candidate for Bugweri, Mercy, Damali, yes. You know, every time I want to continue with that sentence, I remember the candidates, like Mitoma, the chairman, 5, and so on and so forth. So please, okay. So apart from the issues that are local to your constituencies, when you want to address things that draw from the national, this manifesto becomes your guide as well. And so it is upon the candidates and the party leaders to market this manifesto, to customize the issues in this manifesto to the issues that are on the ground. In this manifesto, we talk about women in artisanal mining. So if you come from a gold mining area, maybe you're coming from Mubende, you're coming from Namaingo, you have some of the issues that you need to customize to your local situation. Beyond the candidates and the party leaders, we have the chief bearer of this manifesto, who is the presidential candidate. Ladies and gentlemen, to carry this manifesto for ANT is a candidate, Mugisha Gregory Muntu Oyera, a man whom we know has the passion, the competence, and the skill. A person of his word, who will not turn around and say, Ugandans, we did not mean this. Please let us modify. No, we've known him to be true to his word. Please join me and welcome General Mugisha Muntu Gregory Oyera to come here, speak to this manifesto, and also to launch the manifesto. General Muntu, you're welcome to address us and address the nation. Enter the people as enter the people fast.
Please be seated. The National Coordinator, Honorable Ali Salaso, the whole leadership of One Alliance for National Transformation, at the national, at the sub-regional, and the district levels, down to also the candidates of Alliance for National Transformation, all members of Alliance for National Transformation, all people who support the cause for change in the country, who have come on this launch, ladies and gentlemen of the press, fellow Ugandans, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure today to be here to launch our manifesto on this 10th day of October 2025. Yesterday we celebrated our independence. 63 years of trials. We've gone through so many challenges. 63 years is long in our human lives. But for countries, it's a very short period of time, because we have countries which have lived for centuries so far. In spite of all the challenges we have met in those 63 years, we have to maintain hope, because there's no developed country as we speak anywhere on this planet that never went through teething problems along its way of making progress. We know the challenges that we've gone through. I would like to believe that we also more or less have made the same
Every discovery leads to a bright future. Discovery is at the heart of everything we do. Explore new ideas, new passions, and new possibilities. Discover programs that merge technology, creativity, entrepreneurship, industry collaborations, and engage in groundbreaking research. From cutting-edge robotics to futuristic aerospace, experience practical application on real-world projects that prepare you for tomorrow's challenges. Celebrate diversity and experience the magic of art. Welcome to one of the most distinguished universities, a beacon of knowledge and innovation plus accreditation. Jane University, a journey towards excellence.
Research has been done. Projects have been proposed. But when it comes to implementation, failure has been so consistent to the point where there is almost a breakdown of hope in our population. We've just been now for about roughly 10 days in our campaign. We started in Kampala, 2 divisions. We've been in the west. We've visited about 7 districts. Tomorrow we're going to be heading to Ariantonde and Rakai. I doubt whether there's any district which we'll go to which will almost not have similar problems like the ones we have already seen. Kampala went to areas where you can see people who are living on the edge, don't have money to enable them to live a decent life. Problems of poor housing, problems of poor infrastructure, lack of clean water, lack of access to good education, lack of access to good health facilities. You go in the rural areas, because Kampala is an urban area, you go to rural areas, and you find again people who are living on the edge. People who are living on just 1 acre. People who send their children or their wives or husbands or relatives to hospitals. Government hospitals don't have drugs. So when someone gets sick, they go to government hospitals or health centers, they don't get treatment. They want to resort to private sector health units, and it's expensive. You can go to a private hospital, and if someone is seriously sick, you will easily get hit by a bill of 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10 and above million shillings. Most of the peasants simply don't have the capacity to pay. So we have an experience in this country. Unfortunately, I have not yet accessed research which shows. I really hope that people who are engaged in research can do that. Who are engaged in research can do that. It seems to me, because I bump into people who simply tell you the patient has been sent back home to wait to die, not because the nature of the ailment is incurable or is untreatable, but just because they can't afford the pain. Many are caught in the dilemma. What do I do? If I have 2 acres, do I go and sell 1? But we are in a family of 4, 5 people. There's one who is sick. They need 10 million. We don't have the money. We cannot go to a circle, because if we go to a circle, one, they are not going to give you the 10 million. But if they give you 10 million, the interest rate is simply so high, 5%, 10% per month. So you calculate and know that if you get it, they're going to simply drive you off your land. So the dilemma, therefore, is what do we do? If we sell the piece of land where we are, all of us are going to become homeless. So the choice literally in a number of times is take the patient back home. Very well knowing that you are taking the patient back home simply to die. That's the dilemma. You find it out there. Then you go to areas where the road infrastructure is so broken, like the last district where in Ugandan, where they've got fertile soils, where they grow coffee, they grow tea in different parts of it, and they also have gold. So it's a rich area in terms of potential. But because of such poor roads, transportation costs are high. In some areas, trucks cannot access at all. So the crops therefore fetch very, very low prices. It's a problem that you find there. Some of the areas, parents who send their children to school, they manage to scrape through because they sell some land, they sell whatever they have, cows, maybe goats, maybe sheep. The children go to universities. They come back. Every year you all know that we have about 400,000 young people who finish universities and tertiary institutions. So they get out. They are seeking for jobs. Jobs are scarce. So the competition for jobs, even those that are viable, to access a job, two things if you're able to access a job. Either you have a relative who's in government, someone of influence who can influence for you to get a job. Or, like in the majority of cases, you have to buy it. You have to buy a job. We keep asking wherever we go. We ask the young people their experiences. We have not yet reached the district. I know there are very few. There must be about less than 10. Again, research has not brought out. Districts, I hope those who do research are going to do that. Districts where you can go and compete for a job through an interview. And when you have the educational requirements and you are good at the interview and you win the interview, to get a job without bribing. They are very rare cases. The only variation in the different districts so far that we visit is the levels of how much the job costs. They vary. Some cases you find it's at 3 million, some at 5, some go up even up to 10. When I was in one of the districts in the West, it shook me to hear of a case where a young man was looking for a job to become an engineer. That was the highest that I've had so far, where they were asking for 40 million to be able to get that job. So 40 million is not little money. It's a lot. There are very few parents who can afford to give that young man that 40 million. That's one aspect of it. Even those who can afford to pay for it, I had a doubt whether if that engineer goes to work, whether they'll have even the moral bearing firm enough to enable them to do work in an honest, transparent way. Most likely, going through that experience, they'll simply go and do the same thing that has been done to them. That's why, therefore, our thinking, the success of governance is going to be rooted in the nature of the men and women who will put manifestos into practical or reality, to bring out what is on paper to become reality in practice. That's the core. That's the core of our message. So even when you hear the promises that we make, look behind the promises, as I would like to request all Ugandans to look behind the promises of all of us who are going to be presenting manifestos. If you go right in that, the sky is the limit in terms of the development process of this country. That's why we offer ourselves as Alliance for National Transformation. Not only do we promise, we give it back up. And we have got a track record to show that. We are honest men and women. We are men and women of integrity. We are men and women who are disciplined. Everything we do out of commitment. Because we have a belief that God did not make a mistake to create this country rich as it is in terms of soils, in terms of the mineral resources that we have under our soils, freshwater bodies, lakes and rivers, attractions for tourism, tourism being a low-hanging fruit. Therefore, what is lacking is not the potential of this country to develop. What has been lacking all these 63 years is the nature and men, the nature of men and women who implement what they talk about. That's what we want to bring in as Alliance for National Transformation. We are dealing with a broken society. We are dealing with a broken country. Not only in terms of the governance infrastructure, institutions, systems are compromised. Because if you hear the story I just talked about, the selling of jobs, you can't have that kind of corruption eating to the marrow of a nation. If a nation has bones, I would believe like a human being has marrow. If anything eats you into the marrow, you are literally dying, in the process of dying. Unless there is a reversal, you will be buried. That's where we are as a country, where corruption eats into the very fabric of society. We are dealing with a broken people who have almost reached a point where they no longer believe in their God-given capabilities to change their fortunes, to shape their future. Because it is not that they don't know what the problem is. They know. But they think that these problems cannot be fixed. Something that is being rooted in a systematic, deliberate, consistent set of actions by the one who has been implementing the design for people to reach that point where they kneel and they bow. They bow to power, they bow to the use of money, to the point where our people can just make a decision to make their choices based on 2,000 shillings, 5,000, 10,000. Not because ordinarily they would be beggars, but they've been pushed to a point where they are desperate. And therefore, what we promise, backed up by who we are, a set of men and women who are honest, we recognize that. That we've got to lift our people from that state of desperation. And if they give us a chance for us to show them that their desperation to reach a point to think that these problems cannot be fixed, but that they can. And indeed, they will, if the people of this country, Uganda, put their trust in me as the flag bearer of Alliance for National Transformation and the team that we so far work with, and even those that we will bring in, the more that understand our strategy and our focus and the end state which we want to take this country. Because we believe that in every community in this country, every ethnic group in this country, every religious group in this country, gender, men and women, that they are those men and women who have the capability, once they are brought together and work in concert as a team, this country will be moved to that point of breakthrough. So I'd like to ask the Ugandan people, don't despair. You have capabilities within yourselves. What you just need is leadership that is honest, a leadership of men and women who have integrity, who won't compromise, because they are driven by a desire to see a country that becomes what God created it to be. This is who we are as Alliance for National Transformation. Fellow Ugandans, our country stands on the edge of a new era, an era that can only be harnessed through bold leadership, vision and planning, and a renewed commitment to the dignity and potential of every citizen. Thankfully, the Alliance for National Transformation was founded to answer that call. Without doubt, that time has finally come. We are more than ready to competently deliver on that agenda, given your mandate and all-round support. The Homestead-based Manifesto is our binding covenant with you, the people of Uganda. It is a comprehensive roadmap for the much-needed socio-economic transformation, rooted in the belief that real change begins at the homestead level. From promoting livelihoods to creating wealth, from developing infrastructure to delivering social services, every chapter of this document reflects our unwavering focus on empowering Ugandans to thrive in the spirit of a meaningful governance promise. People first, a new future. At the Alliance for National Transformation, we recognize that political stability is essential for progress. That is why we advocate for a peaceful and principled transition, one that strengthens institutions, upholds constitutionalism, and restores public trust in governance. We advocate for meaningful change we can trust, not just any change of faces. This is why our vision is not merely to govern, but to serve, not merely to occupy government positions, but to spearhead real transformation of our country. Not merely to promise, but deliver on our promises. This manifesto addresses what we have identified as the urgent needs of our time: agricultural revitalization, industrial growth, equitable access to education and healthcare, the protection of our environment, responsible and sustainable use of our natural resources, including oil and gas. It also speaks to the issues of the marginalized, the youth, women, persons with disabilities, victims of past injustices, and displaced communities, affirming our commitment to justice, inclusion, and people-centered development. In matters of foreign relations, we seek to reposition this country as a highly respected and meaningfully engaged member of the global community, while safeguarding the rights and contributions of all the Ugandans in the diaspora. Therefore, we hereby invite every Ugandan to not only read this manifesto with hope and resolve, but also arise and join us in the spirited effort to build a country that works for us all. This is not just a political document. It is a vision for a nation reborn. This is not just a campaign tool. It's a declaration of a renewed commitment to transforming the political culture of this country. It's not out of seasonal excitement, as campaigns tend to be. It is another sober and resilient step along the long-term road of restoring the dignity of all Ugandans. Our people have almost reached a point where dignity is no longer seems to be a word in their vocabulary. Maybe some of them think that it's not possible to live a life of dignity because of the manner in which the regime operates and treats them. Together with your mandate, let us build a Uganda where opportunity is not a privilege for a few, but a delivered promise for all. A Uganda where prosperity is not a reserve for a few, but an abundant reality for all. A Uganda where our natural giftedness is not squandered by the corrupt few, but rescued for the welfare of the many, the disciplined many. This is the change you can trust. unabridged copy. We also have the Manifesto, and we will be trying to disseminate it on the numbers which you have given us, and also keep putting it on social media and all manner of media, traditional as well as the social media. And along the way, we'll be taking an opportunity at different times to highlight specifics. There are places where we will reach and we'll highlight the area, for example, of the challenges the fisher folk are facing and the solutions to that. The areas where we will be reaching and we will be bringing out in details the challenges, one, that face the peasants, those who are involved in the crop sector, and also provide solutions to that in regard to the different crops that they grow. And also in some areas we will be bringing out highlights when it comes to the pastoral communities. And then in some places we'll be highlighting things which affect the small-scale industrial sector. In some places we'll be talking about the medium, large-scale sector. Some places we'll be talking about the youth unemployment. Some areas we'll talk about the marginalized, like the people living with disabilities. Some places about women. Some places about environment. Some places about mining, as we've already done when we were in Ugandan, because we made there the artisans, the artisanal people. So we will, along the way of the campaign, go into specifics as we meet with the different people who are trying to do with their God-given capabilities what they need to do to survive and also to prosper. But a few highlights. Now, for today, we cannot go through everything. That's why we talk about different things along the way. But also for purposes of emphasis. And also, different areas have different challenges. So when we go different areas, we'll be making highlights. Some will be at the national level, but as they are related to the local people, some places will be specific to the areas where we will be going. So I hope you keep track of us as we move around the country. Our poverty, the country poverty, Uganda's poverty is deeper than official numbers suggest. Looks like those who are involved in the data management in this country are prone to manipulation. Now, with over 59% of Ugandans living before the real poverty line of Uganda shillings 10,000 per day, that is about $3 a day. NT sets a bold and compassionate target. Every homestead must earn at least Uganda shillings 25.2 million annually to meet basic needs. That broken down comes about 2,150,000 per month. This is not a figure that we just guessed in our minds. It is broken down, and down the road we'll also be giving details because it covers shelter, our estimation of what one needs for a decent shelter. Our estimate is around 500,000 shillings a month for a 3-bedroom house. Then food, our estimation of that is 750,000 per month. That's a household of 5 people, the father, the mother, and 3 children. And then it covers medical health, education, transport and communications, clothing and leisure, how it is broken down. We believe that a person to have decent life, at the minimum, needs to operate around that figure. So with discipline and focus, exploiting the potential that we have as a country, even before reaping the fruits of effort that will be put in, first and foremost, stopping the hemorrhage that there is, the $2 billion United States dollars that is stolen on a yearly basis. Because that one, you don't have to wait long. I have a sense that within a year or 2, you can close down all the loopholes and recover cover more than 80% of the hemorrhage. This is not a dream, it's a necessity. Avenues, agriculture, industry, services, and strategic support. In agriculture sustains 75% of all Ugandans. It's our backbone. ANT will invest across the entire value chain, from farm to market, to turn agriculture into a powerful engine of income and national growth. We ask the Ugandan people to trust us to vote for Alliance for National Transformation, transform livelihoods where Uganda truly lives. Upstream and downstream focus areas. ANT will empower farmers from seed to market, supporting upstream providers of inputs like seeds, fertilizers, irrigation, credit and insurance, and downstream aggregators, processors and marketeers. Our goal, every homestead earns at least 25.2 million annually on the lowest end. Priority sectors include food crops, cash crops, livestock, fishing, and forestry. Linking agriculture to other sectors. ANT will link agriculture to industry and protect livelihoods. We will support fishing communities, boost local manufacturing of inputs. Because when agriculture grows, agro-processing industry prospers. And from agro-processing industries, once it is driven by support of that nature, they can grow into other manufacturing sectors. They can grow from being small scale to medium scale. Once support is given to small scale to become medium, and then support is given to medium to become large scale, it gives employment to the unemployed and becomes a source of revenue collections that can be pumped back into the areas that need growth. And that's how countries prosper and grow and prosper. Policy and strategic interventions. Real wealth for real people by ensuring food security, access to water for production, and insurance against shocks, so farmers and families aren't crushed by price drops or poor harvests. Would give all these sectors strong support, smart diversification, and organized marketing. Land rights. Ugandans have cried enough over stolen land, broken trust, and injustice. ANT will protect land rights, stop illegal evictions. Stop illegal evictions. Stop illegal evictions. Stop illegal evictions. This land cannot just be for the powerful in terms of them having wealth or having weapons at their disposal. We all have to have equal rights to what we possess. Property. Whether one is poor, whether one is a woman, whether it's a man, whether it's even a child, the parents have gone, their land rights, their property rights must be respected by all. And restore dignity to every farmer, pastoralist, and family. Land is life. And under Alliance for National Transformation, it will no longer be a source of conflict, but of prosperity and peace. Industry and mining. Uganda's mineral wealth has long been mismanaged under poor leadership. ANT will ensure sustainable exploitation, build professional infrastructure, promote local value chains, to create jobs and retain wealth, support small industries, empower women in artisanal mining, and enforce transparency to resources drive to drive national development, not corruption. The other day we were going through Buweju and we met artisanal miners in a place, They have no equipment. Equipment that could be used by artisanal miners is not very expensive. The ones which are used for drilling rocks into rocks. The ones which could be used to detect where minerals are. So we ask them, what do you do? They basically say, we try. Once you get the luck, you hit where the gold is. You don't get the luck, you can dig the whole day, maybe a whole week, you have not seen where it is. There are equipment that they could use. And of course, they told us about the harassment from the government agencies, ordinarily, which should be supporting them. Because a country really does not develop because of the infrastructure. Yes, roads and energy and all that need to be done is to support the human being. So where you see an opportunity like those artisanal miners, group them, put them into cooperative societies, then support them with money to buy equipment through the cooperative setups, so that when they get the gold, then they pay. So that when they prosper, the country prospers. It's not the other way around. We have seen countries which grow in terms of wealth, but the citizens remain, in a state of poverty. We have seen many experiences. In Africa, we haven't had countries which have really prospered so much. But there are countries like in Europe, in Latin America, in Asia, where you find the countries really prospering. They have infrastructure, road infrastructure, energy infrastructure. They are also growing in high-tech industries. But you find people living below the poverty line, 60%, 50%. So it does not automatically mean that when a country prospers, that the people prosper. But once the people prosper, automatically the country prospers. That's our approach, different from General Museveni. To empower women at tourism. It's a low-hanging fruit. Uganda earned 1.28 billion from tourism in 2024. Kenya and Tanzania made over twice as much, despite Uganda's rich attractions. With only 1.37 million arrivals compared to Kenya's 2.4 and Tanzania's 2.66 million. We could perform better if there is investment and focus in tourism being a low-hanging fruit. And to expand and improve tourism products beyond wildlife, invest in tourism infrastructure, roads, energy, develop robust human resources, coordinating with all agencies which are involved in tourism. Because look, if you add 1 million entries or 2 million entries into a country through tourism, what does that mean? How does it translate? It means that there need to be more beds. Now, that's an opportunity for Ugandans. Because many Ugandans are not yet about to compete in the areas of, say, car manufacturing, in terms of manufacturing spare parts for cars, or going into aircraft, or going into computer. We will get there. But right now, where we are at, there are many Ugandans who could afford to put up a 15, 20 bedroom cottage hotel. But for them to be able to do that, they need to access funds which are low interest rate, long-term repayment period. Because once you have an additional 1 million people and they need more beds, that means there's an opportunity for people who want to go into the tourism sector through building such hotels. You may have the desire, you may even have the entrepreneurial capability, but you cannot access funds. You cannot build a hotel and recover if you're operating on a commercial loan. That's why we believe that there needs to be access in terms of linking to such potential. Because the moment you increase, like by 1 million, 2 million more beds, people invest into small cottage hotels because they have access financing, low interest rate, long-term repayment period. And then they become a market for those who are involved in agricultural production. The one who has processed yogurt, now there is a market. The one who has processed butter, now there is a market. The one who is packaging rice, now there is a market. The one who is baking bread and cakes, now there is a market. The one who is going to make cereals, now there is a market because tourists have come in. And Ugandans really can compete in such industries. But there needs to be an enabling environment and the people who have the will and the discipline to ensure that what they need is put there. So they prosper, the country prospers. This is an opportunity, but you know, I really don't know, I don't have research, but I get a sense that most people who would be in some of those areas, in most times, are those who already have the money, and the ones who have money are either people who are in the government or those who come from outside. And therefore, even where there are opportunities, you find that the majority of Ugandans who would have the capabilities to invest in such areas, but because they lack access to financing, they are not able to go into and exploit such areas of opportunity. Transport infrastructure. Uganda's transport system is failing. 95% of freight and passengers depend on roads, yet only 6,199 kilometers were paved by 2023-2024, and many are crumbling. Bridges like Karuma and Katonga are deteriorating while urban congestion and accidents worsen. NT will expand an integrated road, rail, and water network, introduce light rail and buses in Greater Kampala with joint ownership for taxi and border operators. Build a strategic airline system, use concession financing, not gimmicks, and enforce road safety through smart design and education. Now, on the area of rail and bus transportation, we spoke about it when we had just started our campaigns. Realistically, that's what has to be done. Why? Because the population is growing. Right now, we are 4 million in Kampala. Down the road, when we hit about 25 years from now, Kampala is estimated to be, it's going to be around 16 million, when we'll have hit between 80 to 100 million as a country. So you can look ahead and see when you have a city of about 15, 16 million, if you don't have mass transit systems, you don't have buses as the main means of transportation and light rail, it will be an absolute nightmare. The city almost would cease to function. As a government, we would not intend to go into the day-to-day running of the transportation systems. That's why we believe that the government would need to build the infrastructure. For example, build a light rail from Kampala Center to every main road that gets out of Kampala. The Kampala Guru Road, the Kampala Jinja Road, the Kampala Entebbe, the Kampala Masaka, Kaware, the Kampala Mitiana Mubende, the Kampala Hoima. And you put their light rail from the center to between 25 to 50 kilometers from within town. As you also plan centers outside of Kampala. But you ensure that there is cheap and efficient transportation. Light rail and bus systems are the only way you can lighten the issue of transportation. Being cheap, it's not very expensive. Of course, you cannot do that at a go, but our intention is the moment we are trusted and we take power, to ensure that you work on 2 outlets from Kampala to such kilometers and you put it in place, and then people can see that this works. Even before you reach that, in Kampala, you only need to plan just a few areas where you find choke points now, right now as we speak. If government was able to see that, which seems to be obvious, but they haven't seen it yet, or if they have seen it, they have not put it into implementation. Just look at, you go to areas where there are choke points, and you expand roads by putting their lanes specifically for buses and the emergency services, either ambulances or fire trucks, so that lane between certain hours, when there is peak traffic, that lane, nobody uses it, even if you are army or anybody else. It's buses and emergency vehicles. Because when you do that, you enable those who want to invest in mass transit system, in buses, for example, to utilize that and invest. Because someone who is traveling by public transportation, once they know that they are not going to be going through a jam, they'll opt for the bus. Clearly, something as simple as that. Because where there are no traffic jams, everybody moves. Where there are choke points, you put there those special lanes for only those services, the bus and the emergency. And when someone knows that I enter a bus at the city center and I reach Matuga, for example, in 30 minutes, there's absolutely no reason why they move by any other means of transport. And if you do that on all these roads, I can tell you in a very short period of time, a year or two, you're going to have buses become popular more than any other means of transportation. The moment we get into power, if it's the will of God and with your support, that's something that we would implement pronto. And that's why we're talking about joint ownership for taxi and border operators. Because I can tell you, the moment you have such efficiency in buses, the borders would be affected, the community drivers would be affected. Certainly they would get from the main roads, but also ensure that they don't fall through the cracks. You organize them into cooperatives so that whoever is going to invest in the mass transit system, the government ensures that in the negotiations there is shareholding for those cooperatives. One, you ensure that people are relocated. Also, two, you know that when there is organized transportation where there are going to be good profits coming in, then they are also empowered. Every time any citizen is empowered in any sector where they are engaged, the country prospers. So it's not out of sentiment. It is logic. We are not driven by sentiments. We are not driven by emotions. We are not driven by a desire to simply deceive people. We are driven by logic. Housing and urbanization. Uganda has a housing crisis, overcrowded homes, poor drainage and safe sanitation, and unaffordable land. NT will review land and housing laws to unlock affordable financing through pension and insurance funds, establish a functional mortgage policy, build low-cost housing centers through public-private partnerships, establish light rail, which I've already referred to ease urban congestion, protect landowners, address historical injustices, make social amenities like water, energy, internet, health, and education accessible, and employ integrated urban planning to build Uganda with purpose. Not by accident, where everything is done haphazardly, as I notice under this regime. Youth and children. Many Ugandan youth born into generational poverty in ghettos and remote villages are denied opportunity and dignity, too often judged and stigmatized instead of being understood by their struggle. struggle. It is our commitment to break this cycle. It is our commitment to break this cycle. It is our commitment to break this cycle. For those who are unfortunate enough to find themselves in those kind of situations, is not their own making. It's a result of poor planning, poor implementation. It is those who have been trusted to govern and they have failed at governance. So it's our commitment to ensure that there is a reversal in regard to that. And the countries that have achieved that, where you find that 100% of the citizens are living in a life of dignity, and they are there. There are a number of countries. Many of them don't even have half, in terms of potential, as countries, half of what we have. Those countries in Europe, just do research, Google, look at their environments. Good transportation systems, good housing systems, good healthcare systems, good education systems, social cohesion. They are there. They are human beings. They are not any more intelligent than we are. What they have and we still lack, but which we have but we have not applied, is simply discipline and focus. We have the discipline, we have the focus as Alliance for National Transformation. We ask the trust of the Ugandan people. And will equip youth with relevant skills, knowledge, and income-generating opportunities, offer real apprenticeships, tax incentives, and training, not token handouts, support families to parent better, give children scholarships based on need, build a future where every child and youth, regardless of background, has a fair chance to thrive, turning underprivileged beginnings into empowered futures. And there are many examples globally. People who start from disadvantage and they end up prospering. And it's a combination of two things. Their capabilities, but also an enabling environment. Our role is to create the enabling environment. Affirmative actions for special categories. NT believes no Ugandan should be left behind. Our homestead-based manifesto targets those historically disadvantaged by poverty, disability, or lack of opportunity, including citizens in ghettos and rural areas, persons with disabilities, pensioners, and veterans. Through tailored policies, financial support, and community programs, we will ensure access to education, healthcare, housing, and jobs. NT is committed to an economy that works for all, not just the privileged few. A Uganda where progress lifts those with the least. As I conclude, and as I've already indicated, that we will go and speak about specifics when we are going around in the rest of the country. I will repeat what I said when we were launching Alliance for National Transformation. All of us can access stories of people who have prospered, who are renowned all over the world. Some from rags to riches. You can Google and read the life histories of such people. There are some on the African continent, like we hear Dangote in Nigeria. Outside, there is an interesting person called Jack Ma. You've heard about Jack Ma in the Chinese. Read about his story, the attempts he made. A number of other stories that all over the world. Look at the global companies. Countries like South Korea have several of them. They've got Hyundai, they've got Daewoo, they've got, I think, Samsung. These are global names now. How did they start? Read their stories. The South Korean examples are, because those are corporations. The Jack Ma's, are started as individuals. The Hyundais and the Samsungs started as global, small, but the government specifically put focus to build them to become global brands. Now they are. For those who are in business, listen very carefully. For Ugandans, more so the young people who have got the desire, they've got the zeal and the drive, and their end state is to become regional, continental, or global. What hampers you now is lack of an enabling environment. Listen very carefully and attentively. Our belief is that there is nobody anywhere on this planet who has got more capabilities than even the Ugandan people or the African people. Many young people here in this country could become the Dangotes or the Jack Ma's. What they lack is the enabling environment. Many corporations can grow and become regional, continental, or even global brands. Those that have become so is not by accident. It was through design and purpose by those who were running those countries. We believe in the same thing, we, as Alliance for National Transformation. We can work with those who have got the entrepreneurial capabilities, who have got resources now as we speak. By design and intention, grow them. Not because we want any shares from them, because we are disciplined, but we want them to succeed, create jobs, but also for everyone in the world, everybody else who looks at us as a people and almost reach a conclusion that we are inherently inept. There are things which are physical. Building a building like this, having roads, having rail and all that. They are the drive behind what we say. But there are things you can't touch, but which incidentally are part of what drives us. Because we want to do things in such a way that there is proof that when God creates people, He gives them the same intelligence capabilities. If it's the will of God, and if there is trust from the population of this country, and you trust us, you get into power. That form of drive and commitment is to enable us, even if we don't see the outcomes in our time, but that we build a strong foundation on the basis of which we can see Namukasas, we can see Okelos and Akelos, Mugabis, Mafabis, everybody, Draregas, men and women from every community, those who have got entrepreneurial enterprise to become Muhindos, to become Jack Ma's. we move around, we see how the spirit of our people has been so crushed, they almost don't believe that they can do anything. So part of the process of creating the environment in which we can have Ugandans from different gender groups, from different ethnic groups, becoming the Jack Ma's of this world, become the Dangotes in this region. We also recognize the upright task of working with the people to recreate the sense of self-worth and dignity which General Museveni and his group have broken. Because nobody can achieve that unless they recover that sense of self-worth. To know that this is possible. If any other human being has done it, I can also do it. For those who already have that belief, we don't even have to go through the recovery process. You have got the right strategic partners. We are here, Alliance for National Transformation. You only have to tap into us and the sky will be the limit. May God richly bless you.
Hello. Alliance oe, General Muntu oe, winning oe, President of Uganda oe. Thank you. Now what's going to follow? Let's sit down for a minute, please. What a wonderful message from our President. Ladies and gentlemen, let's appreciate. You heard him. We must share this message. Our vision is not merely to govern, but to serve. Not merely, not merely to occupy, but to transform. And not merely promise, but to deliver. Alliance oe, a winning oe. Good. Now we have a very special moment, the moment we've been waiting for. You must have been wondering what's behind this this wonderful document. So the brains, the substance, the content that the men and women that deeply love this country have put together in a great and historical document is what we are just about to share in our physical form. So allow me to invite Honorable Angelino Sege to take us through this particular part. So as yes, you can. So let me invite the presidential candidate, the national coordinator of the Alliance for National Transformation, the representative for female youth, Joanne Boutique, and the young people, their representative, the humbler, some they like calling themselves the ghetto youth, but some people call them the developing youth. Kasule Dennis, come forward. So we'll be first led by our presidential candidate. You append your signature. I think they want to jump the cameras. the people first. ANC, the people first. The people first. The people first. Uganda, the people first. Busoga, the people first. Buganda, the people first. Renzori, the people first. Angole, the people first. Bunyoro, the people first. Karamoja, the people first. West Nile, the people first. West Nile, Ajoli, the people first. Sebei, the people first. ANC, the people first.
Alliance, General Muntu. So leaders, we have, if you look on your left and right, Alliance, let's give a round of applause to our leaders for having launched the manifesto. So on the left, we have, you can see that. That's the manifesto. Again, if you check this, exactly the same. We have the same also on the right. It is this one. Yeah, so I think, so the leaders will be encouraged, there are some markers, you'll be encouraged to sign on them, and so that we all appreciate that the leaders witness this ceremony and indeed welcome to the manifesto of the party. So right now, let me invite first as the entertainment is being organized. Yes. So let's have the leaders, the national leaders will go first, led by I can see led by Honorable Winnie Chiza, the former leader of opposition, Ambassador Edith, the businessman, Julius, Papa, and Fatuma, the Honorable Lucero Tara. And then followed by, of course, Kevin, the youth, Calvin. And then from there we'll have the regional, after the team would be, yes, our senior council, Safina, our host, the coordinator for Uganda. And then we will be followed by then our regional coordinators will follow. Okay, where is our artist?
DJ. ANTOE. My name is Ibiaruhanga Moses Brackerman, coordinator from Kakumiro district, then artist music for ANT. I have one song, but in store I have two songs. So I want support to go in the studio. Okay? In brief, our song Tugende Tumuwe Akaruru. Jeno muntu tugende tumuwe akaruru. Abalumanyi muwanike. Wakwatayo. Tebereza omuntu okuva e Kakumiro mu kyalo. So ndi musanyufu nnyo okubeera wano. Ndi musanyufu nnyo olw'okuba ne pate ey'abantu balamu. Kintu kikulu nnyo wadde abamu tebakifaako, naye obuntu bulamu eggwanga kwe lisinziira okukulaakulana. Okulwanyisa enguzi kiva mu mutima, tekiva mu bigambo. So ndi musanyufu nnyo olw'emisingi gya ANT. Nja kweyongera okuyimba. DJ kyabataka bannange, nze nkedde kubakowoola. Bino ebizibu ebituteganya bigenda kukyuka ndayira. Okulemererwa n'obwavu byonna bifuuse olufumo. DJ yakyaliddewa. DJ help me, because I know